Hi, my name's Jess. I'm acting as person 1 for the Weird and Wonderful Science Unit. My job as person 1 was to discover the CDSU for our question of how do the planets in the solar system orbit the sun.
Hi, my name's Jade and I'm acting as student 2 in this Weird and Wonderful Science. In this, I'm completing a detailed lesson plan.
Hi, my name's April and I'm acting as person 3 and I'm adjusting the lesson plan for students with special needs.
Hi, I'm Klae and I'm student 4. I will be completing an assessment task for this unit of work.
Our focus question is, why do the planets in our solar system orbit around the sun?
We're doing this for a Year 5 class, focusing on the Earth and Space Science unit. So the Earth is part of a system of planets orbiting around a star, the sun. The current CDSU for the question, why do planets in our solar system orbit the sun, begins with the creation of the solar system. It is believed that the universe was over 11 billion years old when our solar system was created, from the embers of dead stars. As stars get old, they create a range of different materials, such as helium, iron, silicon, oxygen, and carbon. And as stars come to the end of their lives, very large stars can become unstable and explode, throwing all of these materials out into the solar system, or the universe. These exploding stars are called supernovas. The different materials created from a supernova explosion forms clouds of dusty and gaseous debris called a nebula. Nebula are places in which the solar systems are created. The force of gravity acts to draw together the materials thrown out of space by the supernova. It is believed that gravity fashioned our solar system within a swirling cloud of dust and gas about 4.6 billion years ago. Towards the center of the cloud, materials including hydrogen were drawn together. As the mass accumulated at the center, the temperature increased dramatically. There was eventually enough energy to create a nuclear reaction. Hydrogen atoms fused from helium, releasing enormous amounts of energy, and this is what marked the birth of the sun. The planets were created from the particles of iron, silica, nitrogen, oxygen, and other materials that made up the cooler dust and gas that spun around the hot center. Gravity slowly gathered these particles together in clumps that became asteroids and small planets called planetesimals. These objects repeatedly smashed into each other and gradually got bigger. After approximately 100 million years, the planets had formed. These are held in place by two major forces. These forces need to be in perfect balance of each other for the planets to continue to orbit the sun. As we know, orbit means to go around something in a circular motion. The first major source is a natural pull of objects toward each other, known as gravity. Gravity is always pulling on everything, and if something has a much larger mass, it has a stronger pull. For example, the sun is much larger than our planets, meaning it has a stronger pull, and the planets are attracted to the sun. But what stops the planets from falling into the sun is a second force. This is the planet's sideways momentum. The momentum means to keep moving. Our planet's momentum is sideways, which is keeping the planets going around the sun instead of falling into the sun or being pulled into the sun because of the gravity. If these forces were not in perfect balance and the planet's momentum stopped, it would be pulled into the sun, as it has a larger mass and stronger gravitational force. However, if the gravity was to fall out of balance, the momentum and movement of the planets would carry each planet off into space, and the orbit would discontinue. So, to answer the question, the sun's huge gravitational force and the planet's sideways momentum is what keeps the planets in orbit of the sun.
So as student 2, I'll be completing the lesson plan focusing on the question, why do the planets in the solar system orbit the sun? Students will enter the classroom and be placed into groups of 4. They'll be given a bag filled with images of the planets and their names. They will have to match the planet names with the images and then place them in order from closest to furthest away to the sun. This is a recap activity for them on previous lessons and will build on their knowledge in the next few activities. Following this, working in the same small groups, students will be given butcher's paper and pens and must brainstorm the focus question, why do the planets in the solar system orbit around the sun? In relation to answering this question, students can think about what they know about the solar system, planets, and the sun. They will have 5 minutes to complete this activity, and the teacher will be available to support if needed. At the same time, a YouTube clip called a solar system video will be projected onto the screen as a stimulus piece for the students to use if needed. Once this 5 minutes is completed, each group will come up to the front of the classroom and tell the rest of the class what they have written. All responses will be stuck up on the classroom wall for students to use throughout the unit. Following this, a whole class discussion will be completed. The teacher will ask the following questions. Was there anything that every group knew about the planets orbiting the Sun? And is there anything new you have learnt from other students' work? This will be explained in this time. These discussions will help the teacher to see how the students are gaining and understanding information, and also offer students more insight into the focus topic.
Like in any classroom, you will have students who have special needs and you need to cater towards these diverse learners. Some students will need general adjustments for the entire lesson rather than just one of the 3 phases. For example, if you have a student with a hearing impairment who is severely deaf, you might want to use an FM system throughout the whole lesson where you as a teacher are speaking into a microphone that directly links to the student's hearing aid. In the engage phase, in regards to a student with a hearing impairment, while you're doing group work, you might pass over the FM system to the group so that each member, when they're speaking, they can speak directly into the microphone. Make sure students know to speak one at a time. When watching the YouTube clip in the engage phase, maybe test out putting the microphone against the speaker and adjusting where necessary. And when each group is presenting their ideas to the whole class, make sure the students use the microphone attached to the FM system so that that student can clearly understand what is being discussed.
In the explore phase of this lesson, students will be able to participate in more hands-on activities. They will be taken outside for this part. 9 students will be chosen to represent the Sun and 8 planets in the solar system. They will show the orbiting of the planets around the Sun. As a class with chalk, we'll draw circles on the ground to represent the orbiting lanes for the next activity. The student representing the Sun will stand in the middle of these circles. Then each planet student will stand on each marking point. They will be given a rope and must hold it tight in that line, with the Sun holding one end all the way up to the last student. With all students holding the rope, the planets will be then asked to circle around the Sun while keeping the straight line. The students will be asked to see what they are noticing about this. Answers should include that the students on the outside must walk a lot quicker than the students towards the Sun. This will link to the idea of momentum and gravity of the planets. The rope is the gravity pulling the planet, and the planets moving around is the momentum, creating a balance. Next, students will be told to drop the rope. They will be asked to complete the same activity, except this time they are to circle around at their own standard pace. Students should be able to see that the person closest to the Sun will be making loops far more often than the students further out. This will lead to the discussion of how long it takes planets to orbit around the Sun. For example, Earth to orbit around the Sun is 365 days or a year. This will be further discussed, and we'll see how much longer it takes other planets to orbit.
For a student with an intellectual disability, for example autism spectrum disorder, in the explore phase you also may want to give the student a specific role or task to keep them engaged, such as holding the equipment needed for the outdoor activity and passing them around to other students, and this also helps to build their interaction and social skills. And make sure to choose an outdoor area away from any loud noises or distractions, and provide a step-by-step routine for them in advance of the lesson so they know exactly what is going to happen.
The explain phase will look at what the students have learnt and recap on this. The teacher will want to find out how much students have learnt and if they can answer the focus question. First, there will be a discussion as a class about what is being taught and explored. The teacher will recap the lesson and fill gaps in about the topic. Students will be asked to raise their hand and tell one thing that they have learnt, found interesting, or both. Then they will need to go back to their desks and individually answer the focus question. This short response will be collected by the teacher to observe the knowledge gained in this lesson.
In regards to a student with a physical impairment, for example, they might have moderate cerebral palsy. In the explain phase, the student might not be able to raise their hand to answer questions or give their own answers, so make sure to direct questions to this student as well. In the last activity, when they are writing out their answer to the question, you can provide this student with an iPad or a computer if they find it easier to type. If they struggle with this, you or another student or the teacher aide can also act as a scribe. Ensure that the student has access to any mobility aids that they might need.
I'm student 4 and I was in charge of creating an assessment item for this unit of work. I decided to go with making a scaled model. So students are required to research the planet, actual sizes and colours, environment, and how long each planet takes to orbit the sun. They are required to document this information before making their diagram, which will be used in a cardboard box. They'll have to paint it black to represent the space, then accurately represent how the distance of each planet from the sun. To answer the question, they will be required to make their own justification and display this on their model, which should highlight the learning outcome.
In regards to the risk assessment, students will be supervised by the classroom teacher and the teacher aides.
The room should be equipped with a first aid kit, a phone, and other relevant safety materials. Also, all materials that are needed for this activity in the classroom.
In the lesson, in the engage phase, check understanding of behaviour management and safety procedures in the classroom. Remind students to walk safely around the classroom, and remind students to always walk, not run. In the explore phase, when you're walking to the outdoor area, make sure students walk safely, ensure students participate in the outdoor activity safely and are considerate of other people's space, and make sure students know how to safely and responsibly use the materials in the outdoor activity.
In the explain phase, we have a reminder to walk safely around the room. Please be aware of your space and always walk safely when moving around the room. We hope you were able to take something from our presentation, and we hope it was helpful to you.